Hello, everyone, and it's a delight to have you join us here on Big Talk. This is Global Television. I'm Wee Agmofwewe, live in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. We want to take a look quickly at the fallout of the several across the country outcomes of tribunals that we are now seeing, and all of the news coming out from across the different states. But at the very center of it all is the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, which delivered a series of judgments just last week, Wednesday. 6 days down the line, we still find reactions to that judgment, whether it is between the opposition parties and the ruling All Progressives Congress, that is the APC, or Nigerians across sections now airing their opinions about that judgment. But one thing is clear. That hurdle, as they call it, has been scaled through by all of those, who were parties to that matter. And the only option open now is to appeal the judgment. But in the meantime, there must be some very valuable lessons that Nigeria and indeed Nigerians are learning with regards to how it helps to improve our democratic processes, how the politicians and their respective political parties also need to see use that as an opportunity to look at instances or places where they can improve. With regards to internal politics, internal democracy, and how Nigeria as a country can also strengthen democratic institutions, whether it is the umpire itself, that is the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, or all of the ancillary agencies that are directly or indirectly involved in our electioneering in this country. To help us make sense of this conversation, I'm joined via Zoom from Adamawa State, Sunday Joshua Wugira, legal practitioner and aide to the governor of Adamawa State. Thank you, Barrister Wugira, for jumping on this discussion today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Excellent. I know in Adamawa State, you have also had your own legal battle before, during, and to an extent, even after the last governorship election in that state. Why we would like to believe that is history now, at least for the most part. I'd like to know what your assessment has been with regards to the multiple judgments that we are now seeing coming out of the various tribunals across the country.
Well, thank you very much for having me on this program. With regards to the multiple judgments, actually, it is expected. We have seen how the legal battle has been, and some succeeded, some failed. It is normal with life. However, we have not seen the end of it yet, because now the first leg has been concluded. Some are yet to conclude, like here in Adamawa State, the governorship panel today could not sit because it was meant for adoption today of final written addresses, but the tribunal could not sit due to one reason or the other. Another date is being awaited from the tribunal. In other claim, judgments have been given. Here in the legislative houses, we've had judgments, particularly with regards to the National Assembly cases and some state assembly cases here, petitions. Mostly they were disposed of against the petitioners, actually. In other places, we've seen where some petitioners succeeded, Kogi, Anambra, in Imo, Kano, Plateau, and the rest of them. And then the presidential election petition, they dismissed virtually all the petitions before them, that of APM, that of PDP, that of LP. Now I'm sure a lot of them are preparing to go to the Court of Appeal. Some are preparing to go to the Supreme Court, particularly the presidential election petitions. So personally, as a lawyer, I agree with some of the judgments given in respect of the petitions by the presidential election petition, while I disagree with the others. I believe these other parts, particularly with the ones dealing with the issue of law, I believe we must put everything to test and see what the Supreme Court will say finally. And that will also revolutionize even our constitution. We live to see what becomes of the judgment of the Supreme Court later.
All right, great. While we are waiting, to see how it turns out, at least at the apex courts level, it has been, for want of better words, more like a tradition that every time our elections go full cycle, that is every other 4 years, we just naturally expect that there will be a plethora of matters in front of the courts across board. Isn't that a pointer, or isn't it reflective of how faulty, some people say broken, that our electioneering process has become?
Well, I am of the opinion that if you look at our Electoral Act particularly, it is couched in such a way that the petitioner is made to look like a sour loser, a troublemaker, somebody who believes in just making trouble. The law itself fundamentally is flawed from the beginning. And you see, Nigerians are always oblivious of the fact that many a times the electoral laws that you find out that are being passed at the nick of time most often is purposeful and intentional to take away the minds of the people from the real issues. If you look at the Electoral Act from the beginning to the end, it is couched in such a way that if you lose an election, the law is even against you. And it is meant for that purpose because those in the National Assembly, I had cause to discuss with some members of the National Assembly who were carried away by the laws they were making, particularly with regards to the electoral laws. And they felt that they were going to benefit, from that law. But when they found themselves on the other side of the law, against the law, so to say, they begin to regret why they decided to make that law, knowing that it could work against them when they are on the other side. So first and foremost, our electoral laws must be given the real intendment it ought to have, the clarity that it should have, the direction that it should give or it must give from the beginning. There should be no fire brigade approach. Like those in the National Assembly should begin the process of amending the Electoral Act immediately, so that by 2024, 2025, we should have a clear Electoral Act that everyone will look through and have a sense of this is what is expected of anyone. If you look at even the way and manner the Electoral Act 2022 was hurriedly put in place, because the lawmakers intended to ostracize and exclude some other people, they also ended up excluding themselves from the primaries stage, where some just few elements were vested with the responsibility of choosing for ourselves leaders across the land. And where a law is made with an ulterior motive, you should know that whatever the outcome that will fall out from that process, it will definitely be faulty and injurious to the polity. And that is what we are dealing with today as a nation and as a people.
You know, it's interesting, I must say, Barrister Wogira, because I recall very vividly in 2019, one of the controversies we had in the run-up to the election was how that former President Muhammadu Buhari had been blamed for not signing the Electoral Act. In 2019, because amongst other things at that time, he had said that it was too close to the general election. And then virtually 4 years down the line, It signs it into law, and we're coming back to blame the same piece of legislation. But I want to move away from that real quick. I want to talk about the responsibility that political parties should take, whether it's on the basis of patriotism or just because they want to be responsible entities. Because come to think of it, we are now also seeing clear indications that internal politics and the way it is played within the various political parties has also been a part of the bigger problem that we're dealing with in this country. How much work do we need to do to fix the internal operations of political parties in Nigeria?
Well, first and foremost, this is a two-way thing, actually. There is the law, the legal aspect that must be taken care of, and there is also the human aspect. The fact of the matter is a lot of politicians are contesting elections not because they want to win, but because they want to create problems. Some, they know that actually I am into this because I want the other person to lose. We are going to share our votes, and then the other party will win. And some are so naive and stupid that they don't even know that they are working for another party.
Please, you would
they
have
are
to
made
take back
to
that
believe
word,
that
Barrister
they
Wogira. We don't use such foul language on our programs here.
Very well, I withdraw that actually.
Thank you, thank you.
I withdraw the use of that foul word. But some are so oblivious of the fact that, some are even conscious of the fact that I am going into this contest because I am going to make the other person lose or the other party lose, you know. Some are just fifth columnists. They are not actually contesting election because they want to win. They are contesting election because they just want to be known, you know, and then they know that by virtue of their contest, someone is going to lose whom they don't want to win. So that is it. Until politicians get to realize that we also have to work on ourselves, that I know that I'm not going to win this election, and there is no point in my going into this contest. I know that if I leave party A and go to party B, I will make party A lose elections for whatever reason. Until that is addressed by politicians holistically and with all sense of patriotism and seriousness, we will always have these issues, and we will continue to have legal battles after every election cycle, which is most unfortunate. First and foremost, it comes with a lot of emotions. Secondly, it guzzles a lot of resources. Thirdly, it distracts the polity. Whoever that is there on the seat of power will have to be distracted, having to live in fear and doubt until every other thing is over. And then we also have the judiciary itself is being challenged after every election cycle and every judgment, to the effect that people get to see that whatever judgment the court gives is never a normal judgment, but a flawed one, which is most unfortunate. So we need to work on ourselves. We need to work on our laws.
I basically asked that question because, I mean, when you take a very holistic look at many of the election-related matters that we have in front of the courts, or if you like, tribunals at this point, I mean, it's interesting how that a good number of them actually are pre-election matters, which means these are essentially matters within political parties themselves, not between one political party against the other. How much does that complicate the mandate and responsibility of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC?
Well, actually, the complication is bordering on the law itself and then the decision of the courts. So that is where the issues have been complicated. The law itself has made provision for some clear pre-election matters to be decided by federal high courts specifically. And while some could be pre-election matters, they could be post-election matters at the same time. Issues that borders on qualification, issues that, you know, where someone is not qualified to contest an election under his political party, and the political party or members of the political party decided not to challenge his non-qualification before the Federal High Court, excuse me, that can equally at the same time be brought before the election petition. Once it borders disqualification, it is a provision of the law, but now the court now is coming with a novel decision that some matters are clearly not post-election matters, but pre-election matters. And where this decision is to stand, then the
I think we've lost our stream momentarily there with Barrister Awugira. We will reconnect with him as quickly as we can. But I was just going to ask him a follow-up question on account of the complexities that come with electioneering itself on the one hand, and beyond the elections, I mean, the going to the polls. All of the naughty challenges that the country now has to grapple with. Hopefully we are being reconnected back to our guest. Barrister Awugira, can you hear me? I understand that we are still making efforts to reconnect with him. We're just going to take a quick break on the program. When we return, we'll talk a bit more and then wrap it up. Just stay with us, everyone. Thank you for staying with us, everyone. We have Barrister Sunday Joshua Awugira back on the program. You were making quite a very valid point a while ago, but I need to follow up with this one very quickly because it's becoming very complicated with the way electioneering process works. We understand, I mean, no debate, the Constitution is the ground norm. We don't even need to have a symposium on that. Then, of course, you have precedents with regards to how the law works. And now we even have a complement, which is, as you rightly alluded to, the 2022 acts that you talked about, all right? But the challenge with all of this is that it will appear politicians in several instances either want to be mischievous or, like you also mentioned, they just are acting out of sheer naivety. But let's move a little beyond that now and see exactly what INEC mandate should be in practical terms beyond the principles guiding that very pivotal institution. Because we hear about things like vote buying. We hear about inducement of any kind, of all kinds. And people are telling INEC, prosecute election offenders. Does INEC, in practical terms, actually have powers and wherewithal, whatever that means, to prosecute those who carry out practices with regards of the, with regards to the election?
Well, actually, if you look at the Act, INEC has the power to prosecute electoral offenders. The snag is most of these electoral offenses are perpetrated by INEC itself. So let me give you an example. With what we have in Adamawa State, we had in Adamawa State during the 2023 governorship election, where the REC here decided to take it upon himself and then in the course of collation, announce and declare and return a winner of an election. So only for some people to come and take cover under Section 149, that it is only the tribunal that can void such return and declaration and return of a candidate by the resident electoral commissioner, when they are oblivious of the provisions of Section 25 of the Act that clearly spells out those who are vested with the responsibility of making collation and return of candidates in an election from the polling unit to the national election in the presidential election. No, at every stage, the law has provided for who is vested with the responsibility to make a return and declaration. Now, someone just appeared out of the blues and then made a return when collation was not even concluded. INEC is making an attempt to go to ensure that an example is made out of this person that decided to take the law onto his hands. And then some people again are still using the courts to obfuscate, to prevent, in fact, to ensure that this same offender is not being prosecuted and then an example is not being made. INEC is made to look like a lame dog, that it cannot do anything, that it cannot punish, that it cannot take full charge of its own laws to ensure that whoever goes against the offenses as outlined, as contained in the Electoral Act is never prosecuted. And that is to tell you that this is a racket which the INEC itself and then some powerful people outside. And they believe that they can use the court itself to fight against this law and to ensure that no one is brought to book for contravening any law as provided by, as contained in the Electoral Act or any other electoral offense provision that we have. So that is the unfortunate thing that we have to deal with again as a people and as a nation. But I believe that this will just be for a moment. At the end of the day, I'm sure that we are getting there. Our democracy will be sanctified. Our laws will be strengthened, even though it is moving at a very snail pace, very frustrating, very, very daunting. But we will get there. All we need to do is to be resolute. All we need to do as a people is to be determined that we will not give up. Fighting evil is not easy. Fighting recidivism is not easy. But then we will never give up and we must never give up.
Amazing points there. Let's wrap it up now. But in 2 minutes, I'd like you to air your very dispassionate, candid assessment of President Bola Tinubu's 100 days in office.
Well, it is a mixed feeling actually. But on the other side, I am of the opinion that he needs to do more actually. Nigerians are suffering, and it is because principally of the programs, policies he has taken. And there were mistakes, and I believe we can do better. I believe he can do better. Things can change for the better. Some decisions were taken hastily that has affected the base of our existence as a people, economically and as a nation. And on this, I believe there are things that can be reversed as a government so that the suffering of the people would be alleviated. And there are some certain decisions that could have been deferred to make life easier and better for Nigeria and Nigerians.
Do you think, I mean, just to see, I mean, in reaction to your assessments, all of these efforts he has made very recently, including the fact that he's been able to secure a couple of deals from across the world, and more importantly, just a matter of 2 days ago, he has now been able to also help us lift the ban that the UAE authorities had placed, I mean the visa ban that had been placed on Nigeria. Are these not commendable steps?
Well, commendable by the elites, actually. But the poor man that is struggling to find food to eat does not even know the road from Yola to Abuja, not to talk about going to the UAE or any other place. Well, that is good, actually, on the surface of it. But fundamentally, this is not what we need. That is commendable, actually, on the other side. But when you look at the basics, we have a lot to do, and there is so much to be done.
And then, again, I need to talk to you about this for a minute. The labor issue, which again is tied to the fuel subsidy removal controversy. What is the best approach or method that you think government should adopt by way of resolving it?
Well, I don't see the labor issue as an issue, actually. As far as I'm concerned, this is my own opinion. We don't have any labor union. They are just there taking advantage of the vulnerability of Nigerian workers who themselves are confused. They are just part of, in fact, the labor union leaders are working against the workers. They are just there playing pranks on Nigerians. I don't believe in what they are doing. However, they are working in tandem with government. That is my own opinion anyway, because all that we have seen so far, labor leaders are accomplices in the sufferings of the workers of this nation. That is my own issue.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. In fact, you made very clear that is your opinion. I'd like to thank you very specially, legal practitioner Sunday Joshua Wugira, for having to talk with us on the program today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
And that's where we wrap it up, everyone. Thank you for watching. We'll bring you Big Talk again tomorrow. I'm Agumofo Egbe. I'm here at Global Television.